music going to bother you while you're meditating? No? Okay, I'll just leave it on. I can tune it out very easily.
Me too. Hashtag trauma.
Oh. Trauma?
Yeah, you know, like, for me, when I was growing up, it was a lot of fighting and stuff. So I just like tune things out, like selective hearing.
You.
It's okay. It helps. Sometimes.
Sorry to hear that. Let me make sure this is recording. Okay, yeah, we're good.
So when you wear your robe, you don't use like clips or anything?
I could, but I just haven't thought about it.
It's okay.
Okay. So, I usually start every session with the refuge prayer. I'll say it 2 times in Tibetan, and then I'll say it in English. And then we'll start a meditation. Sanye choren sakchi chapnam la dengcha padu dakni chesichi daki jinsa epe sunan ki jula pinshi singe drupasho. Sanye choren sakchi chapnam la dengcha padu dakni chesichi daki jinsa epe sunan ki jula pinshi singe drupasho. In the Buddha, the Dharma, and the Supreme Assembly, I take refuge until I attain enlightenment. Through my merit of generosity and so on, may I achieve Buddhahood for the benefit of all beings. May all beings have happiness and the cause of happiness. May they be free from suffering and the causes of suffering. May they never be separated from the great joy, devoid of suffering. And may they dwell in boundless equanimity, free from attachment and aversion. Okay, so we're going to do about 20 minutes of shamatha. Have you done shamatha before? Well, you may have, and you may have not realized it. So, shamatha meditation is just like calm abiding. So, we focus on the breath, and we don't try to tune out our thoughts. We just let them do what thoughts do naturally. Thoughts are going to come and go whether you interact with them or not. Kind of weird, right? So, I can't time it because my phone's up there.
You always on?
Sure, if you could time it for us, I'd appreciate that.
Okay. How long?
20 minutes.
Alright, you ready?
Yes. Okay. So, just take your hands and, if you want to put them like your right hand over your left, and just put those in your lap or like below your navel. Either way, in your lap, below your navel, it's fine. And I meditate with my eyes open, but you don't have to.
That's cool.
You can close your eyes if you want. You can leave them open. It's up to you. I can't see with my glasses off anyway, so.
Same, I wear contacts, I get it.
So we're focusing on the breath. That's our meditation subject. So the breath is coming in and going out, and it becomes one solid motion. And of course you're going to have thoughts. Just try not to play with them, but don't push them away. Don't interact. Don't attach or run away from them. Just, the middle way. while we're doing this, it's important to try not to worry about what you're going to do later today or tomorrow. Just take all your concerns and set them over there, by my shoes, and you can pick them up later when you leave. So still focusing on the breath. You're just here right now. You're not anywhere else. It's about being in the present moment. chin up like that, your thoughts are going to start racing. If you tilt your chin up like that, your thoughts are going to start racing faster.
Really? I didn't know that.
But if you're feeling tired, it's good to tilt your chin up. If you're feeling like too energetic, your thoughts are racing too much, it's better to tilt the chin down when you meditate.
Actually makes sense. So I've never seen anyone that like meditates professionally never look up. They're always looking down. That's so true. I was doing it to breathe better, but you're right.
that's been close to 20 minutes. Literally?
16 seconds left. It's so crazy.
Maybe I just have a good sense of timing.
Alright, I stopped it.
Sure. Could you do me one small favor? Could you move that stand a little bit closer,
Yeah.
but like keep me in frame? Because I'm not sure if the audio is going to pick up
Oh.
from back there. Okay,
Want me to lower it?
that's probably fine right there.
Okay.
Yep, thank you.
Mhm.
Okay. So, I'm not sure how you felt about your meditation, but there was some noise from out there, but the point is that you were doing the practice. So it always has some benefit, no matter if you feel bad about it or if you feel good about it, you're still meditating.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna talk for a bit and then I'll answer questions. And we'll probably have to keep an eye on the time. Yep, it's not there. You can just keep an eye on the time for me and tell me when it's like close to 7, right? Okay. It's good. It's good that you're here. I have nobody to keep the time. Well, there wouldn't be nobody here.
Is this gonna play? Like, is it gonna stop at the end? Is something else gonna play?
Oh, it should stop
Oh, okay.
at the end.
It's 6:26.
Fair enough. I don't know how much you know about Buddhism.
Just
So-
share everything. We can start at the beginning.
Right. So I'm just gonna do what I usually do.
Okay.
This is Shakyamuni Buddha. This is the historical Buddha. I'm going to talk about him because, well, I just love him so much. But it's always good to go over the basics. I like to go over the basics myself. I've been doing this for almost 2 decades. But the basics are the foundation. If you don't have a solid foundation in your understanding, then everything can come undone, and we don't want that. We don't want to forget our precepts that we follow. We don't want to forget the Four Noble Truths, which are, that, see, I know that suffering is the English word here, but it doesn't translate well.
It's okay.
It's just the word that we use most often because we don't, oh, okay, something else is playing.
It's okay. It says video will play after ad, and it seems like another meditation. But it's a different person.
Oh, it's Medicine Buddha. It's okay, he's just visiting.
Okay.
He can visit us.
For 3 hours.
Oh, sounds fine to me.
It's giving that he's important right now.
Oh, he's very important. And we'll talk about him
Okay.
someday,
Okay.
but not today. So, of course, the Four Noble Truths are that life is suffering. Again, I'm going to explain this because it sounds very grim, and it's not. The word is dukkha, which doesn't just mean suffering. It means that ultimately life is unsatisfying. There are things that we want, of course. Usually what happens is we get those things, we're happy for a while, and then those things go away because they're impermanent. That is why there's this always the subtle and sometimes not so subtle level of dissatisfaction. life can be painful. The thing is, the reason why this happens, which is the second noble truth, is because we aren't looking at things the correct way. We take things to be permanent when they're not, when they're actually impermanent and changing. We don't like that, do we? No, we don't. The third noble truth is that there's a way to overcome this, and then the fourth one is that way is what's called the Eightfold Path, which we will go into again sometime later. But by practicing this path, we come to understand that there's nothing here that we can truly own except for our actions. And we learn how to be okay with that. I heard a teacher describe samsara once as not being okay with the way things are. Yes, there are horrible things that happen in the world, and no, we shouldn't just accept that. We should try to change the things that we can change. Try to make the world a better place for every living thing. But there are also things that we can't change. Not everybody has the wisdom to realize what those things are. So the best thing that we can do, not having that wisdom, is to just try our best. Does that make sense? So Shakyamuni Buddha, who was called the Tathagata, and a Tathagata is a special type of Buddha that appears to reestablish the teachings once they're lost. He lived 2,500 years ago. He is, historically verified. We know that he existed. It just paused on its own. That's odd, but anyway. There are probably, either that was a technical malfunction or there are beings in this room that we can't perceive. I don't know which one.
I don't know which one either.
Again, I don't like to assume. But they do join these talks sometimes. But yeah, the Tathagata, Shakyamuni, Siddhartha Gautama, lived 2,500 years ago. He was a prince. His father was the chief of their clan, the Sakya clan. When he was born, I don't remember exactly what he was, but there was some sort of mystic or some sort of seer that visited his father, and he said, either your son is going to be a great king or he's going to become a sage. His father did not want him to become a sage.
What's a sage?
A sage is a wise person. So he sheltered him for his adult life. I'm sorry, not adult life. His life before he became an adult. He sheltered him from things like seeing death, seeing sick people, seeing old people, because he knew that if he saw these things, he was going to renounce his, worldly duties, and he wasn't going to become a king. But eventually, one day, he escaped, and he saw these things. He saw a sick man, an old man, a dying man, and he saw someone sitting underneath a tree meditating. He was shocked because he had never seen these things before. He renounced the worldly life, left the kingdom, and began a journey that ended with him becoming enlightened. Once he was enlightened, he reestablished the teachings that were lost. And the first thing that he taught was what I just talked about a few minutes ago, the Four Noble Truths. So that's just the brief history of the Buddha.
I remember learning about him, but when I was practicing, it was 6 years ago, and I haven't done anything with it since. But as you're talking, I'm remembering a lot of it, especially the Noble Truths.
They're good to keep in mind.
For sure.
And it's not like people think it is. It's not grim.
Yeah, when I first started getting into existentialism and all that stuff, it was so dark. But it's all perspective.
Well, the good thing about Buddhism is that we do believe that eventually everybody will become realized. So we don't give up on people, even if people do really awful things. And they do, and they will. But we don't believe that one action defines a person. Most of us don't support the death penalty. It doesn't make sense to us. The punishment for killing is killing. I don't get it. Make it make sense.
It's like an eye for an eye.
Right, and you've heard the old quote, an eye for an eye leaves the entire world blind.
It's true. I don't support the death penalty either.
Right. So, I'll answer questions now. That was just a brief talk. There are things that I can go into detail about.
Okay, my question is, yes, okay, I agree my personal struggle right now is how do I like continue to forgive and like accept a person that continues to make bad choices?
It depends. Now, you say bad choices. Can you elaborate?
Yeah, part of it is addiction.
Mm-hmm.
So I guess we can use that as an example.
Sure.
It's not me, it's somebody else in my life.
Okay. Addiction is very tough on, the people that are addicted and of course the people who care about them. We have to accept something though. If somebody doesn't want help,
Yeah.
you can't help them. Not at all.
I have to remember that everyone's on the path.
And sometimes the healthy thing to do is to distance ourselves from them. And while that might not sound nice to some people, the thing is, they may drag you down with them. It's not nice to yourself. It's not compassionate to yourself. And you could end up enabling them, which is not what you want. But your question is, how do you forgive them for making that mistake? And that tells me that there are certain emotions involved. I don't know what those emotions are, but there may be anger. You may feel slighted.
What's slighted?
Slighted is when you feel that somebody has done an injustice to you. You may feel sad. We have to keep in mind that they're not that person. They're not their addiction. But we also need to maintain healthy boundaries. Does that make sense?
All of it makes sense.
All of it.
Yeah, the whole thing.
Addiction is awful.
It sucks.
It's one of the worst things that can happen to somebody. But let's elaborate more. Because there are reasons that this happens. It's not an excuse. People go through things and they turn to drugs. They're responsible for their actions, but you can see how this happens. And I don't know what happened to this person. You may or may not know, but there are different situations that can lead to this, such as childhood trauma, abuse, all sorts of awful things. What that person wants is to be happy. They're not going about it in the correct way, but that's a person that's suffering. So while we may feel angry we might be sad. We do have to remember that that's why they're doing it. Because that is a person that's not well. That's a person that is suffering very, very much.
I agree. I would share more, but if you're gonna share the video.
Of course, yeah, this will be shared on the page.
Okay.
So, but you don't have to say anymore.
I agree. I'm on the other side of what you, no, I am on the side that you were saying, like boundaries, letting go. I'm doing that after a very long time of not doing that.
Right.
I think my biggest struggle with like the path is I feel like I have to let go so much of my humanity, but I know that that is perspective.
What do you consider your humanity?
Like my feelings, and
No.
I'm a control freak, so that's the worst part, I think, is removing that control and just letting things be. I actually, sorry, before you speak, sorry. I liked the meditation a lot because whenever I would meditate, it was the kind that you clear your mind. So the whole time I'm just like trying to focus, but then all the thoughts come in and it's like they're fighting each other. Like one side wants to just be quiet and the other side is just constantly speaking. So then it just becomes a battle, and then it doesn't feel like you're meditating. It doesn't feel like you're getting centered. So I liked this meditation because I felt like when I removed that battle and removed that control, it was very peaceful. That's the longest I've ever meditated, like consecutively. So that, yeah, probably.
A funny thing happens the deeper you go into that meditation. You can watch all your thoughts come and go, and they're doing it on their own. You don't have to interact with them. You're not your thoughts. But the thing you said about losing your humanity as you practice, this is supposed to get you more in touch with your humanity. We don't throw our feelings away. Some people have that idea that we're supposed to be, emotionless. That's not the case. One of the things that we emphasize is that you're supposed to become more mindful of your emotions, but you don't throw them away, or you don't try to push them away.
You're right.
You just have to realize what's there. It's okay to have emotions. There's nothing wrong with it. There's nothing wrong with being sad. There's nothing wrong with being angry. There's nothing wrong with, being happy. What is unskillful is when we're angry and we act on that anger. When we break something, when we hit somebody, when we cut somebody off in traffic and then try to fight them. That's what is unskillful. But just having anger, just being sad, that's not unskillful. And, using your friend as an example, I'm not sure what emotions they have, you know, when they decide to use whatever they're using. But if they learned how to let those emotions process naturally without acting on that in an unskillful way, then of course they would be a lot better off. So no, we don't lose our humanity. We get in touch with our humanity. We get in touch with our natural compassion for people, for animals, for every living thing.
That's so beautiful. I needed to hear that. I'll be here every single time.
Well,
As long as I'm not away, like, cause I think I was
course.
in another place, last time we did it. I think I was in Philly or Savannah.
well, the thing is, if you're here, you have the karma to be here. If you're not here, you don't. And I can never fault anybody for not being here.
And at least there'll be a video.
Mhm.
If I'm not.
Yeah, but people did ask me for a recording, and like I said, I can't tell them no.
That's okay.
What time is it?
51.
51. We got 9 minutes. Anything else on your mind?
What started you on your path?
Sure. So, this was years ago. I was 21. Sorry, all the noise distracts me.
It's okay.
outside.
Yeah. Working here, you'll hear everything, and I think that's also helped me tune out so much.
But,
Yeah, I wish we had like a sound barrier. But it's okay if you gotta pause and recenter and stuff.
okay. So yeah, I was 21 or somewhere around there. I was engaged at the time. And I got a phone call from her one day, and she said, I have to talk to you. And I said, okay, what's up? And she said, no, in person. And I automatically knew that that was bad. So I showed up at her house. And by the way, I don't know if the audio picks you up or not, but the question was, how did I get started on my path? So I went to her house. She gave me the ring back, and she said, I don't want to be with you anymore. I didn't react in a way that was very nice, because I took the ring and I threw it out into the road, and I said, well, if you change your mind, you can go get it. And I went home, and you know, it was a very nice day outside. I think it was spring. The weather was nice. So I sat in the grass, and it just clicked in my head that I didn't need that to be happy. I didn't need that to be content. That as long as my basic needs were met, I had no reason not to be content. I didn't know that anybody else thought this way. And it was my karma that maybe a few days later I stumbled upon some Buddhist teachings that said the same thing. Now that can be for a few different reasons. If we've practiced in a past life, then our karma is that we will encounter the teachings over and over again until we attain enlightenment. But also, these things, these teachings, what's called the Dharma, we already know it. We're just not aware of it. Because these are inherent truths. They're a bit hard to argue with, even though some people try.
So true.
But let me ask you a question.
Okay.
What is the most valuable thing that you have?
I'm gonna go with my humanity. Out of all the things that make me, probably like my compassion. Because I was gonna say my knowledge, but if I ever, something happened and I didn't have my knowledge anymore, I think I would still be a compassionate person.
What about your health?
My health is very valuable.
The Buddha said that it's the most valuable thing that we have. If we don't have our health, it's very hard to do anything.
That is true.
And it's especially hard to practice. Take that from somebody that has chronic fatigue. I'm still here. I'm here because I want to be.
My question to that is, if someone is unhealthy, with a disability, how does that work? With value? If they have a developmental disability, how does that work with their value?
They're still valuable as a person and a living being,
That is true.
but they don't have the value of health. It's very useful to be healthy. But we don't think that people with disabilities are lesser than us.
Absolutely.
That's not, that wouldn't be kind.
I just wanted to understand what how you quantified value, but then when you said that there's still a person, I feel like that's how you would quantify it. It made sense once you said that part. So that's why I was asking that.
Yeah.
Because I was thinking if someone has a developmental disability and for example, they can't do things like meditate for 20 minutes, would that make them less? But, once you said the fact that they're still a human and that they're still alive and a person and can exist.
all beings have value. All beings are, in actuality, Buddhas. They will attain enlightenment. Even the smallest beings that we can't see right now. I don't even kill spiders. I take them outside.
I don't kill spiders. I let them live. They can live in my house. It's okay.
Well, I take them outside so nobody else will,
Sure.
you know, hurt them. Because they have value. They have value to me because I know that they are actually Buddhas. They have the same true nature that I have and that you have.
That's so cool.
Because we, of course, as Buddhists, we believe in reincarnation.
I believe in reincarnation.
Oh, I know lots of people that do. I know some people that can remember their past lives.
So cool. Now those people, have they been, are they Buddhists as well? And they've been doing it for a long time?
Most of them are, yes. Most of them have been practicing for a long time. Some of them are teachers.
That's so cool.
And we believe that we have been here for an infinite amount of time. That universes come into existence. They exist for a while, and then they dissipate, and then a new universe is born. That time has no beginning, it has no end, and that every living being has been our mother at some point, has been our father, have been our children. So, keeping these things in mind, it helps with developing compassion. We don't want our mothers to be harmed. We don't want our children to be harmed. And one of the worst things that a person can do is harm their mother or their father. Because being a human is a very, very rare opportunity. It's a rare opportunity to practice. And I understand that some people's parents have not been the best. But we should be grateful to be here.
You're absolutely right.
And like I've said before, if somebody's parents, aren't the best, if somebody's parents are abusive, it's okay to distance yourself. Just don't hold hate for them. Because that hate hurts you. It doesn't hurt anybody else. Unless you act on it, which is way worse. Thank you for the questions.
Thank you for being here.
Well, always appreciate good questions.
I'll tell you what time. 7:04. But I'm in no rush. I'll be here till 8. Doesn't matter to me.
Oh, my body's getting tired.
That's okay.
It starts to ache.
Especially sitting in the same position. So I get that. Well, thank you for being here. Thank you for sharing. I will be here. I don't know about perfect tea. I feel like I like the library a little bit better.
That's fine.
I'm just used to it.
Okay.
But yeah, thank you so much, for sure.
Well,
And I'm gonna try to bring more people, but, you know, they're all on their path. But you should definitely come to my book club, cause it's not any, like, related to any religion, but self-help is it blends in a way.
one more thing.
Yeah.
I remember you told me before that you believe that Buddhism has toxic positivity. I would like you to elaborate.
I'm gonna back it up, because
Okay.
Buddhism doesn't have toxic positivity.
Okay.
People have toxic positivity.
Well, of course people do have toxic positivity.
So, yeah. Everything's perspective.
Of course.
So, no, Buddhism doesn't have toxic positivity.
Okay, I wasn't sure if there was something in the teachings that you saw. But yes, people can have toxic positivity. And I hope that I never do that, because
No, you're real.
I don't sugarcoat things. Sugarcoating things is not nice. Sugarcoating things is not kind or compassionate. Sugarcoating things is toxic positivity. And I will not tell you that everything will be okay, but you will be okay. So I'm gonna close this out by dedicating the merit, because this dedicates the positive action from the session and spreads it out to all beings so they may benefit as well. By this merit, we obtain omniscience. We defeat wrongdoing. From the stormy waves of birth, old age, sickness, and death, from the ocean of samsara, we will free all beings. And that's all for now.